How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, January 1st, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do my very first Elite profile for the 2022 calendar year, considering today is New Year's. And I'm going to do this Elite episode on Darius Slay. The Elite cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles turns 31 today, and my intention with this episode is, of course, to point out where exactly he's been elite at the micro level when we look at just his numbers and his statistics and what he's been doing season in, season out. And then, of course, looking out on a macro level, looking at the big accomplishments that he was able to achieve and how he was integral to helping his teams win football games. If you're unfamiliar with Darius Slay, he stands at about 6 feet tall, weighs about 190. He's what you expect from a lockdown corner. And it's just, he's had one season in which he's led the league in picks. And ever since then, he's really kind of stayed in that class, and that's been about 5 seasons if we include this one. And even before that, he still had to really, he was still, it took him until his second year to be a full-time starter, but ever since he's been playing at that level, he's shown that he's been a consistent force, and wide receivers have to be pretty cautious when lining up against him. Same thing with quarterbacks. So just to get into his backstory, of course, he's originally from Georgia. He went to Brunswick High School in Georgia. He would go on to attend Itawamba Community College, which is, of course, in Fulton, Mississippi. He would go on to play 2 years at ICC, and after his 2 years, he would earn a spot onto the Mississippi State football roster as he played for head coach Dan Mullen. In his junior season with Mississippi in 2011, which would be his age 20 season, Darius Slay would go on to play he would start all 13 of the games he played in a season where Mississippi State would end up going 7-6. They ended up making it all the way to the Music City Bowl where they beat Wake Forest, so that's why their season was like that. Darius Slay would finish with 24 tackles on the season, and then his only pick would be a 72-yard pick six. And following this season, of course, he will come back. And in his senior season of college football, his age 21 season at Mississippi State in 2012, he would go on and play 13 games in a season where the Mississippi State Bulldogs would go on to finish with an 8-5 record. They failed to finish ranked for the second year in a row as they ended up losing in the Gator Bowl by 2 touchdowns to Northwestern. Regardless, in Darius Slay's senior season, he would go on to be named to the second team All-SEC. He would go on, or in the 13 games he played, he finished with 40 total tackles. He even had a tackle for loss. And he would up his interception numbers from 1 to 5. And one of his interceptions was taken home for a pick six. So he had 2 touchdowns in his collegiate career, at least in the SEC. Following his 2-year stint at Mississippi State, he would be drafted with the 36th overall pick in the 2013 NFL Draft. That is the 4th pick in the second round. Just looking at other big names that were taken ahead of him, especially or like in this round. The first cornerback that was taken was D. Milner as he went from Alabama to New York. And looking at just the players that were taken ahead of him, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins was taken with the 27th overall pick. He's the only player that's still on the Elite that's from that year. Other notable players, including Cordell Patterson, taken with the 29th overall pick. Le'Veon Bell was taken with the 48th pick overall total by the Pittsburgh Steelers as he went there from Michigan State. And Travis Kelce was the very first pick of the 3rd round of this draft, just to get a sense of the talent that Darius Slay came out of college with. And this would transition to him getting out of the draft. He was drafted by the Detroit Lions, where he would go on to play the very first 7 years of his NFL career. Now, let's start with his rookie season. Of course, I don't know where else I would start. And his rookie season, he would go on to start 4 of the 13 games he played in a season where the Detroit Lions would finish with a 7-9 record. They had won 3 more wins in the last season. And then for context, this was Jim Schwartz's last season as the coach. Darius Slay in 2013 would go on to finish with 34 combined tackles, as he also defended 5 passes. But it would take him his entire rookie year to earn his way into the starting lineup, which would bring him back around for the second go-around. In his second season in Detroit, his age 23 season in 2014, he will go on to start all 16 of the games he played in a season where the Lions finished with an 11-5 record and made the playoffs. This was Jim Caldwell's very first season as the coach. They would go on to, in all the 16 games he started, he finished with 61 tackles, doubling his tackle numbers from the previous year, even had a tackle for loss. He would up his passes defended to 17 as he would finish with his first 2 picks of his NFL career. And once the Lions would go on to make the playoffs, they would end up losing in the wild card round to the Cowboys by 4. And then for context, this was the year where the New England Patriots beat the Seattle Seahawks in Glendale, Arizona, just for reference. That was Super Bowl 59. So this transitions into Darius Slay's third season with the Detroit Lions, his age 24 season in 2015. And in that season, he would start all 16 of the games he played for the second year in a row, in a season where the Lions finished with a 7-9 record. They had won 4 less games than they had won the previous year. Darius Slay would finish with 2 less tackles than the year before, as he had 59 tackles, and he still finished with 2 interceptions as he defended 13 passes. Second year in a row, he had double-digit passes defended. But once the Lions would fail to make the playoffs, this would lead to Darius Slay's 4th season with the team. In his age 25 season in 2016, he would start all 13 of the games he played in a season where the Lions finished with a 9-7 record. This was the second time they made the playoffs since the Jim Caldwell era. And 2016 to this day was the last time that the Detroit Lions have not, or that was the last time that the Lions have made the playoffs. In that season, Slay would finish with 44 tackles. He also had a sack, his only career sack in his NFL career. He would also go on to force a fumble as well. He finished with 13 passes defended in his 3rd season in a row where he had double digits. And he also had 2 interceptions at the end of the year. And that was his career before he became at least an all-pro player. And even in those first 4 years, he really built himself into being a really consistent force, as he had multiple interceptions for 3 years in a row. So this would transition into his first team all-pro season. In his 5th season with the Detroit Lions in his age 26 season in 2017, he would start all 16 of the games he played in a season where the Lions finished with a 9-7 record. This was Jim Caldwell's last season as a coach. I don't even know why they fired him. He's been their best. He looks like he looks like he did pretty well for the team, but I digress. In his last season with the team, in a season where they went 9-7, Darius Slay would be named to the first team All-Pro for the only time in his NFL career, as he went on to be the NFL interceptions co-leader in 2017. He went on to lead with Kevin Byard of the Tennessee Titans, just for context. He would also go on to make the Pro Bowl for the very first time. In those 16 games, he finished with 60 tackles, which was the second most tackles that he's ever posted in a season. He would also go on to finish with a league-high 26 passes defended, the only time in his career he's had more than 20. And he would go on to finish with 8 interceptions. This is the first time in his career he's had more than, or the only time in his career he's had more than 4 in a season, more than 3. Those 8, like I said, tied for the team lead, and additionally earned him All-Pro honors for that incredible season. And of course, following that season, the Lions didn't make the playoffs, considering they haven't made the playoffs since 2016. But this would transition into Darius Slay's 6th season with the team. And in his 6th season with Detroit, in his age 27 season in 2018, he would start all 15 of the games he played in a season where the Detroit Lions finished with a 6-10 record. This was the first season where Matt Patricia was the head coach. In this season, Darius Slay would go on to be named a Pro Bowler for the 2nd year in a row, as he finished with 43 tackles, which is the lowest that he's had in his career, excluding his rookie season. He would go on to finish with 3 interceptions, which at that time was the 2nd most interceptions he put up in a season, and in the 5th year in a row, he's had more than 1. He would also go on to record his first ever pick 6 in 2018, as he also defended 17 passes, making it 5 years in a row he had at least 10 passes defended on the year, at least 13 at this point. Following the 2018 season, Darius Slay would return for his 7th and final season with the Detroit Lions, and in his age 28 season in 2019, he would start all 14 of the games he played in a season where the Lions finished with a 3-12-1 record. That was Matt Patricia's last full season with the Detroit Lions. In this season, Darius Slay would be named a Pro Bowler for the 3rd season in a row, as he finished with 46 tackles, 3 more than the previous year. He would go on to finish with 13 passes defended, which makes it a 6-year streak of double-digit passes defended. He would go on to finish with 2 interceptions, making it a 6-year streak of multiple interceptions. And he would also go on to recover a fumble for 38 yards as well. And of course, following this Pro Bowl appearance, the Lions would fail to make the playoffs again. And after this season, he would officially get traded to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a third and a fifth round selection in the 2020 draft. But looking at how he would start in Philly in his age 29 season in 2020. He would start 14 of the 15 games he played in a season where the Eagles finished with a 4-11-1 record, completely missed the playoffs. Darius Slay would miss the Pro Bowl for the first time this would be the first time in a 4-year stretch in which he did, and he would go on to finish with 59 tackles, which is the third most amount of tackles he put up in a season. He had 2 tackles for loss, which at that point was a career high. He would go on to finish with an interception, ending his streak of multiple interceptions at 6. And he also finished with 6 passes defended, as he would end his passes defensed double-digit streak. That streak would end at 6 seasons as well. But of course, the first season in a new location is especially tough. And of course, this transitions into this 2021 season where Darius Slay would change his number back to 2, and he would be named a Pro Bowler for the first time as an Eagle. And he would be named a Pro Bowler as a corner for the 4th time in 5 seasons. They haven't named the All-NFL teams this season, so I mean, those aren't technically up. But as of right now, he is a 4-time Pro Bowler if we include this season. So far in his age 30 season, in his 9th season in the NFL, he started 15 games thus far for a Philadelphia Eagles team that at the moment is holding a 8-7 record. They do have relatively high playoff hopes at this moment. They even face off against the Washington football team tomorrow. But taking a quick look at what Darius Slay has been doing this season, in the 15 games that he's played so far, he's logged 50 tackles, which is around what he was doing these other seasons. Finished with 5 tackles for losses, way more than he's had in any other season. He will go on to finish with 3 interceptions as he returned his 2nd pick 6 in his career this season as well. He's at 9 passes defended, meaning that one more pass defended could put him in yet another season where he's had double digits, making it the 7th in his career. He didn't force any fumbles, but he would go on to recover 2 of them, as both of his fumbles that he recovered would be returned for touchdowns. He leads the NFL in fumble recovery touchdowns and fumble recovery yards as well, as he is continuing to show why he is aging incredibly like fine wine, and he's definitely still in the midst of his prime at this point in his career. Even just to take a look at how he fared in his very last game. The last game that the Eagles played, they would go on to face the New York Giants. This was a game that they won at home. In their very last game that they played, Darius Slay would go on to finish with 2 tackles for his own, but I'm saying he's still a very relevant part of why the Eagles are incredibly good, especially on the defensive end. And of course, with that said, I want to take the time to just say that I think that it'll be very interesting to see where Darius Slay, or how his next year will play out, considering he has an entire full year ahead of him, and he may as well return to the Philadelphia Eagles. And it seems as though, as of right now, he hasn't done anything to show that there is any signs of slowing down. So, of course, I expect him to continue to show out and be the elite cornerback that he's shown us that he can be. With that said, first, I want to thank the Pro Football, College Football Reference websites, as well as the Wikipedia pages I used for the numbers and statistics for this piece. I also want to thank everyone that listened to all 14 minutes of this piece. I really do hope all is well. If you ever get a chance to watch Darius Slay, I would recommend it. He wears number 2 for the Philadelphia Eagles, and if your team's playing the Eagles, just make sure that he's not guarding your favorite receiver, because your receiver might perform, but your receiver is going to labor if he's going to perform, if he's going to go up against Darius Slay. Thanks once again. I hope all is well. I'll catch you with more episodes tomorrow, and hopefully if Darius Slay is still on this list by the beginning of 2023, I'll have another episode for him as well. Thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you tomorrow on January 2nd. Peace out.